Mudryk. What is he? I sat there tonight. I watched him and I thought, is that Mudryk or is it Zach from Saved by the Bell? Big up, people. How we doing? Hope you're well. Big up to everybody in the chat. Big up to everyone who was here earlier for This Is London. Absolute lit panel where Don just got absolutely cooked. Bless him. But when you give it, you got to take it, man. And he's a Chelsea fan that definitely gives it. Let me tell you that. So he decided to get cooked tonight. Big up to Brandon, who's just joined us. Big up to Northside. Big up to African Guna. Big up to Kenny Ken. We're here to talk football, which means that we're going to touch on Liverpool, who have just been dumped on in the Merseyside derby. Unbelievably, we're going to talk about that. Big up to Richo in the chat, big Everton fan who's a massive supporter of the channel. So well done, man. Congratulations and thank you for your side tonight. Potentially putting Liverpool out of the race completely. And we're going to talk about Kai Havertz dumping on Chelsea. We're going to talk about Arsenal's midfield trio, which I thought was electric last night. We're going to talk about Benjamin White and how good he's been since the new year, and talk about the North London derby. There's a lot to get through and we don't have much time tonight, so we're going to get straight into it. Kenny, Liverpool are now out the race, aren't they?
100%, 100%. You know, the fact is that hindsight is 2020, but a lot of people in this panel did tell me that, you know, there were still things that you work on. I just looked at the clock factor and let's face it, I think their problems started even when they're winning. You know, Brighton conceded a goal, come back, and then the Sheffield United game, you know, and then the Man United game kind of found them out. And I think since then, you know, they haven't been at it. You can't keep on conceding goals like that and then expect to, you know, win big on game. So, you know, they've really got their justice served. And Everton wanted it more today. 100% wanted it more. Liverpool really didn't want it. Certain players just don't look good, fit. Salah, a disappointment since the turn of the year. Came back from the African Cup of Nations, not the same player. Jota's missing today. He played well against Fulham, but he got injured again. So that's a big miss. But, you know, Idrissa Gueye was fantastic today. I know they gave the man of the match to Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but Gueye was, and just, you know, the way he played, and, you know, obviously McNeil and Harrison, it was the whole team just, you know, rose to the occasion. Liverpool didn't realise that, you know, that it was a Merseyside derby and Everton are intent to stop them in the league. So lesson to Arsenal for this Sunday, expect a passionate crowd in age 17. Expect Spurs to be pumped up for it. And if you don't match them, the same can happen to us. So we need to, you know, heed our lessons from Liverpool.
Yeah, man. Listen, it was unbelievable, African Gooner. I didn't expect that tonight. And what it does do is it's going to put some nerves even more so on our game at the weekend, not just because they lost, but because it was a derby they lost in. Now, this is going to be massive for us at the weekend, which we're going to come on to later, because Spurs are going to love nothing more than to try and ruin our hopes, just as Everton have done for Liverpool. But Liverpool really have come crashing down, bro. And I didn't expect it to be against Everton or Palace. To lose both those games is scary to me, man, because it proves that the pressure can get to you. And I think Klopp and Liverpool are actually players that have been there and done it. And that does worry me, because we're not a team that have been there and done it. So this is going to get very, very interesting in the coming weeks. I don't see Manchester City dropping points, but in terms of a three-horse race, I actually do believe now that, although it's only a few points behind Liverpool still, I do think it's a two-horse race now going into the weekend. I really do.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Dan. I think, we mentioned it here previously when we talked about the three-horse race, and I mentioned, you know, we talked about the injuries that Liverpool had, and ironically, that they did pretty well during that spell when we thought they would drop points. And you know, they obviously in the Europa League they got knocked out, and that kind of got the ball rolling for this, you know, fall from grace for Liverpool. And I think they have a lot of transformation, a lot of signings to do. They need another midfielder, maybe another defender. Then still need another striker. So, you know, obviously need a new manager next season as well. You see them being linked with a manager I've never heard of personally before in my lifetime. So, you know, Liverpool is really, I think, going to take another season or two before they start competing with Man City and Arsenal again. I truly believe that it is a two-horse title race till the end. I think part of me is quite happy that Liverpool is kind of the first team that kind of blinked first, if you know what I mean. You know, so let's say, for example, if we wither down in the last few games, we can say, you know what, Liverpool as well didn't. So this kind of that, you know, gives us this upper punch or you know, upper uppercut punch to say, hey, you know what? We actually had a better season than Liverpool this season, irrespective. You know, the only team really that could say they had a better season than us is Man City, perhaps. But other than that, I think it's going all the way down to the wire, perhaps on goal difference, Dan.
Listen, if it's on goal difference, then Arsenal are in a good position. Let me tell you that. North side, let's move towards what was an unbelievable performance. I'll let you touch on Liverpool being out the race if you want to. But let's be real. Last night, I was really impressed with Arsenal, particularly in the second half. I thought we were a little bit shoddy at times in the first in terms of what Chelsea were able to create. But luckily, their lack of finishing went our way. What I will say, though, is this midfield partnership of Partey and Rice and Ødegaard, that trio, is something I've wanted to see for a long time. And last night proved what we were missing. Last time they started was the Community Shield. Although we have seen it together in bits, it's never started together. And I thought that was probably the biggest positive I could take away from it. Yeah, I know Ben White played really well. Havertz was amazing up top in the second half. I thought that Saka had a bit of a better game. Tomiyasu was good. Trossard scored again. There was a lot, right? But for me, that midfield trio, bruv, it was so good the whole game, and particularly in that second half, man. What did you make of Arsenal last night, brother?
Great performance, man. Great performance. Isn't it nice when everybody's happy? You know what I'm saying? Isn't it nice? You know what I mean? It was a great performance. I think we went in 1-0 at halftime, feeling like we could have went in at halftime 3-0 up, 4-0 up with the amount of chances that we had. Big up to Ben White. You know, he started to show Saka and the rest of them and Havertz how it's done and how to find the back of the net. Obviously, Trossard, listen, this guy is so underrated. He's the one that scored against Porto that kept us in a tie. He scored against Bayern Munich. He's the guy that always gets dropped out of the front three. Let's keep it real. Martinelli, Saka, Havertz, most of the time get to play, regardless they're in form, they get to play in their favorite position. Trossard gets moved all over the place and he never moans. He just gets on with it. And big up to Trossard, man, because he just always comes on the pitch like he's got a point to prove. And yeah, man, he's so underrated. I think he's only like, what, 3-4 goals behind Bukayo Saka now. And if you look at the fact that he doesn't start games, a lot of times he comes on as a sub. And Saka plays basically every single game. He's a starter and plays 90 minutes. It goes to show you the impact that Trossard's had at Arsenal. Kai Havertz, I think, you know, he's a player that I've criticized a lot, but the way that Havertz took his goals, credit where credit's due, man. That's what I want to see from a striker. You know what I mean? Dinking it over the goalkeeper. The second one, he just spins the defender, smacks it off the post. Well done to Kai Havertz. You know what I mean? I think everybody felt like just keep him on. Let him have a hat trick. I think everybody felt like that when Mikel took him off. But that's a good problem to have, saying that, you know, he's on to a hat trick. Ben White onto a hat trick. I think he was excellent as well. I think on the left-hand side, we see that we're a lot more solid when you play Tomiyasu and Trossard down that left-hand side. You see that they're not targeting us the way that teams target us when we have Zinchenko. But I think Thomas Partey and Rice, the way that they dictated our tempo in the first half, a lot of credit to them. Declan Rice was pressing and gave Trossard that chance. Partey, he was just cleaning up, shielding the back line and just playing a simple ball into Ødegaard. And Ødegaard, for me, that's the best performance I've seen Ødegaard at Arsenal. That's the best performance I've seen from him, man. He was doing everything I wanted him to do. And if he continues like this, then cool. I don't mind being in the mud about Ødegaard because this is the Ødegaard I want to see week in, week out. That was a captain's performance.
The thing is, Northside, you say be in the mud with Ødegaard. I've questioned him over the last few years as well, but I would say in the last 18 months, I've given nothing but praise to him because I think the guy's been phenomenal, particularly since the new turn of the new year. So I think when people say, oh, you're in the mud, it's okay to question a manager, a captain, and say, could you show us more? Could you show us more consistently? Can you get goals and assists up? Can you run a game? Can you turn up in the big games? Can you show captain and leader performances? Yes. Brilliant. I'm happy now. So I don't think people need to be like, on a player to say, do you know what? I really like him, but I need him to do this. Do you know what? I really like Ben White, but I need him to do this. Do you know what? I'm a fan of Gabriel, but I don't want to see those mistakes. I don't think that's being negative. I don't think you should be in the mud for changing your opinion on that and for them to prove you wrong over the consistency. That's what football's about, right? You want to be proven wrong. You want to say, not too sure about him. I understand he's getting praise, but I need to see X, Y, Z. And when they show you X, Y, Z, you can go, fair play, man. He's been phenomenal. And Ødegaard has been outstanding, man, since the turn of the year.
Well, Partey as well. I mean, a lot of people are talking about, what are the people that criticize Havertz saying about Havertz now? First of all, really and truly, we only rate strikers at Arsenal that score 20 goals a season, and the last one was Aubameyang. The rest of them we all deem not good enough for Arsenal, and they could be moved on. Giroud, Lacazette, Jesus. Now people are saying that he's not good enough. So yeah, let's not move the goalpost when it comes to what we expect from strikers. But he did very, very well. Thomas Partey, I just wanted to say this on Thomas Partey. The people that are talking about Havertz, when we bought Declan Rice, there was a section of the fan base that wanted to get rid of Thomas Partey. I said no. The best midfield includes Thomas Partey. And a lot of people forget that. There was a big section of this fan base that were calling, oh, we got Rice now, get rid of Partey, he's injury prone. And yeah, his injuries haven't been the best, but now you can see the quality that he brings to this team. This is the quality that he brings to this team. And when he's fully fit, he's part of our best starting 11. And Thomas Partey against Chelsea, he looked like he was fit all season. It didn't seem like he just come back from injury. He was excellent. You know what I mean? So listen, I think a lot of people need to eat their words on Thomas Partey, because I kept saying, keep Thomas Partey. Thomas Partey is a good player. You know what I mean? And listen, that I was very impressed with the performance, man. I was really, really happy with the performance. And even though I wanted more from Saka, I think he was our worst player on the pitch, if I be completely honest. Taken too long to shoot, taken too long to pass. He did cook Cucurella on one instance, but yeah, it just felt like we were carrying him. But overall, everybody for me got 9 and 10s out of 10s, man. They really, really good performance. I was really happy yesterday.
Yeah, man, it was class. And Brandon, I want to mention 2 players that I think deserve a mention other than the midfield. Ben White, for me, I probably would have given him man of the match. I know Odegaard got it in fair play. He could have given it to 4 or 5 players. Ben White, since the turn of the year, has been phenomenal. His overlapping has been great. He's got forward a lot more. He's ended up scoring 2 goals and keeping a clean sheet. His work rate with Saka on that right-hand side has been phenomenal. Defensively, I think he's been as good as Saliba and Gabriel at times, but doesn't get the plaudits. And I must say, bruv, I love his shithousery. I absolutely love his shithousery. Going up against players like Cucurella, looking at Mudryk like, who the hell are you, mate? Get up. Love all that for me. That's exactly what we've missed in the last few years. And the other players, Trossard, bro. I mean, Northside's mentioned him already. I think this guy now behind Saka in terms of our top goal scorer and as a player that doesn't normally start for Arsenal in every single game, has come in and proven to be one of the better signings of Mikel Arteta's reign. And people forget it was a January signing, bro. So I think they need a mention, bro.
First of all, yeah, before we start on that, I just want to touch on this Liverpool thing, right? Because Liverpool fans right now are crying, yeah? Hussam is crying right now. Crying, yeah? I tried to message him. I tried to show a bit of love. He took it wrong. He took it personally. Don't take it personally, bro. Yeah? Don't take it personally. It is what it is, yeah? Doing it for Klopp FC, and all of a sudden you flop. Do you know what I mean? And big up Northside as well, because he infiltrated the Scousers tonight. I thought it was him playing at the back, not Virgil van Dijk. Do you know what I mean? And he's wearing the blue top as well, bro. You're taking the piss right now, yeah? Everton colours and that as well. And yeah, I mean, Liverpool fans don't get too sad, yeah? You got Arne Slot coming in next season, by the looks of it, yeah? That just shows you how dead the managerial list is right now. You know, bringing in man like Michael Van Gerwen, they're having to go for darts players now as managers. Do you know what I mean? That's what that guy looks like. He looks like Michael Van Gerwen. So it is what it is, Liverpool fans. But no, on Arsenal, exceptional performance yesterday. Couldn't have asked for anything better. Yeah, what can I say? And I'm going to give huge credit to the manager. And some people get it twisted, because I've heard recently that apparently I'm Arteta in now. Apparently, now that Arsenal are winning, I'm Arteta in. Apparently, if you give the manager a bit of praise, that means you're Arteta in. Okay, then. But yeah, I'm going to praise the manager for yesterday, because let's be real, against Wolves, we looked dead. We looked out on our feet. We looked no energy. Yeah, we looked like we looked like our legs are gone, let's be honest. And that one change that he made in the starting lineup yesterday, Thomas Partey in midfield, that helped massively. Energy all over. Yeah, Thomas Partey in the midfield alongside Declan Rice and Odegaard. All 3 of them were exceptional. Every single one of them moved the ball quickly. Yeah, there was none of this slow, lethargic crap that we see against Wolves. It was just energy and quality that destroyed Chelsea, who, by the way, are in. I don't know what's going to happen to Chelsea. You know, everybody was talking about Enzo Fernandez at the beginning of the season. That's the Argentinian Danny Drinkwater, bro. Yeah, get used to it. It is what it is. Yeah, Jackson as well. Jesus Christ, Jesus. I think my 1-year-old could have scored that. But anyway, less of them. On Trossard, Dan. Yeah, I've rated Trossard for ages, even before he came in the club. Everybody was twerking for Mudryk. I was like, no, go get your Trossard. Go get Trossard, yeah? Trossard, decent player at Brighton. You know, you could see his technical ability is very good. Left foot, right foot. You know, he scores goals as well. Go get him. You know, the football club goes and gets him. And even now, this guy still doesn't get the plaudits that I think he deserves. Yeah, people have got to be reminded that I went and looked at the stats the other day. Trossard has played 400 minutes less than Martinelli this season, and he's our second top goal scorer. Yeah. Trossard is the one who's dug this manager out of the mire a handful of times. Yeah. Trossard was the one who come on and got us the equaliser against Bayern Munich at the Emirates. Trossard was the one who opened the scoring yesterday. Trossard was also the one who did he score against Wolves? No, I don't think he did he? Did he score against Wolves?
He did. Yeah, he did.
Yeah. So Trossard's the one that's bailing this manager out week in, week out, week in, week out. You don't see Saka and Martinelli stepping up at this time of the season. And that's a Saka and Martinelli thing, right? Because Saka and Martinelli have done this for the last 3 years. So Martinelli hasn't had a great season anyway, but it gets to this stage of the season and Saka don't perform, you know. Trossard is a big game player who comes up with big goals. He needs more respect on his name, bro. Yeah, he needs to be starting for the remainder of this season. He deserves it. 10 goals. 10 goals, and he's played 400 minutes less than Martinelli. By the way, Trossard as well has only played 90 minutes for Arsenal 5 times in the entire season in all competitions. All competitions, yeah? That's crazy to me.
That's mad.
That's crazy. And this guy has come up, what 15 goals in all competitions, and people still don't respect him. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Ben White has been our most consistent player since the Dubai trip. No question about it. Yeah, this guy has really improved his game. He's a shoo-in at that right back position now. Up and down the pitch. I'm seeing overlapping again, which we didn't see at the beginning of the season from Ben White so much. You know, he's getting himself in good positions and he's coming up with goals as well now. I mean, the second goal, he didn't mean it. I found that highly ironic as well, because obviously in the first game, Mudryk scored a cross come shot and the Chelsea fans were giving it all the big one. Well, Ben White just did exactly the same to you, my friend. So, you know, it is what it is. And yeah, what can I say? I mean, if we perform anywhere near that level again on Sunday, we will win the game. I don't think it will be a 5-0 or anything like that against Spurs, but we will win the game against Spurs. And look, you can tell that people are nervous. Look at Expressions' video that came out today. Yeah, baptism of fire for Tottenham. They've got to play us. They've got to play Chelsea. They've got to play, you know, Liverpool. They've got to play Man City. So, you know, they're worried. They're worried, and they should be. They should be. We're, you know, with that kind of performance, this is around the time that you want Arsenal to perform like that. After the Wolves game, I was worried because I thought this team looks dead. This team looks finished. This team looks like it's played too many minutes. But from somewhere we found energy. And yeah, when you go and slap 5 past Chelsea and Kai Havertz is scoring against his former club, you can't ask for any more. And the fact that he celebrated as well. Big up to him.
Oh, I loved it.
Big up to him. So yeah, I mean, we got to pull it out again on Sunday. We've got to pull it out again in the North London derby. We've got a big advantage here, really, you know, because people, I know City is still the favourites, but they got a lot of pressure on them at the moment. They're 4 points behind. They go to Brighton tomorrow, which isn't easy. And, you know, all it takes is for them to even just get a draw there. And then we're looking at if we can win the remainder of our games, then it goes down to goal difference. And we already know that Arsenal have a superior goal difference to Man City. So I'm expecting there to be plenty of twists and turns, but we've got to do our job now. We can't afford another slip up like we did with Aston Villa. We're not going to get handed these, opportunities very often. And this is another opportunity that's been handed to Arsenal now. Yeah, Liverpool are pretty much out of it. It's between us and City, and we need to show balls. That's what I need to see, balls, yeah? At the moment, there's only a handful of players that are showing me that. Martin Odegaard, big up to him as well, because I question him massively. And I know you did, Dan, Northside, all the rest of us, about turning up in big games. If you're Arsenal captain, we want to see you not just perform when, the pressure's not on, but perform when the pressure is on and you are needed in big moments, in massive games in the season, in the business end of the season. And again, I would argue that this guy has probably been our best player in our last 4 games. And yesterday, he was just unplayable. Reminded me of Mesut Ozil with some of them reverse passes. Do you know what I mean? So we need to see more. 4 games left. I'm praying, bro. I'm praying we can do it. After the Wolves game, I was sat there dejected, thinking, this is it. It's done. We're going to see this Arsenal side kind of fold again. We'll probably end getting a draw against Chelsea, even though we should be slapping them up. And now I've got energy again. Now I feel like we can do this. We can do this.
Listen, I think you spoke a lot of facts there, Brandon. Before I come to Kenny, I want to come African Guna because I know that Brandon mentioned a couple of things and said, "Oh, we all thought this," and I think African Guna was like, "No, I didn't." I think Odegaard is definitely the one that you've been a big fan of, and fair play, man, because I've always been a big fan of Odegaard. I think a lot of us have questioned like, where are you going to be in the big games, when you're going to turn up, and I think that's why what Brandon was at there. But I know with you on this panel and on previous shows, you've been a big fan of him, and you were a fan of him as a captain as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, look, in terms of the conversation about him performing in big games, I always took that at face value. And although I do agree with people who brought that up, there was lots of, examples last season where I think Odegaard stepped up. And I also think that sometimes we forget how young these players are, because we've been watching them for 2-3 seasons now. Sometimes we forget. And then, we put a lot of pressure on these players. And, players like, for example, I think Northside Saka didn't play so well. And I agree with him, but I don't even blink an eye at it. You know what I mean? Because Saka has so much credit in the bank that, 1 or 2 bad performances at the end of the season, I'm not going to blink at. And that's kind of the same for Odegaard. When people were saying he wasn't stepping up in big games, I kind of knew that it was going to, get to a point where, once we had our midfield, once we had the players that Arteta wanted, that Odegaard was going to step up. I mean, I have an interview on AFTV during COVID, and I said, this is when Odegaard was on loan at Arsenal, and it was the game West Ham Arsenal 3-3. We came back from 3-0 down. That was Odegaard's best game, by the way. And I think, yes, yesterday was probably up there with one of the best games that Odegaard's ever played. I think in terms of, we talk about Ozil, and Brandon mentions how he played like Ozil. I think Martin Odegaard is going to have an incredible legacy as a football player, both for Arsenal and just the sport in general. Maybe not Ozil heights, but I think the difference between Odegaard and Ozil is just the work rate, right? And the professionalism. I think that is just the main difference. The quality is so obvious to tell. They both have an elite abundance of it. But in terms of work ethic, the way Odegaard runs from the first minute to the last minute is 3-0, 4-0. It doesn't matter what the score is. I mean, the way he runs is just absolutely incredible. The way he's really instructing players when he wants to press. You can see sometimes his standard, he gets upset at players when they're making mistakes or they're not following his lead. And, we always think of, captains as those that are going to be very vocal. That's why we all really wanted Tierney to be a captain before, the Unai Emery debacle happened. But for me, Martin Odegaard, he's not a very vocal person, but he's an absolute leader in all the other different qualities that you see, whether it's off the pitch and on the pitch. Even when you see him in his interviews, the way he speaks, the media training, I mean, absolutely everything, right? Him and Declan Rice for me are the perfect professionals, and maybe even Ben White. There's a lot of good examples at Arsenal, but those two specifically for me are prime examples as a young footballer of what you a dream or aspire to be as a player. That they are total footballers for me, and I think we're so lucky to have them. But yeah, Dan, just on Odegaard, I mean, him. 30 million was an absolute steal. I'm sure every time Madrid hierarchy watch Odegaard play, assist, or score, they're like pulling their hair out because this kid is probably worth 80 to 100 million right now. If we're being serious, I mean, if we were to sell him this summer, I mean, 100 million is what we're talking about. So, I mean, we absolutely made a fortune on him, and I think he's going to be the captain for Arsenal for the next few years. I'd love to see Declan Rice become the vice captain moving forward because I don't think Odegaard can be displaced, and I also want to see Rice as part of that captaincy group. So that could be something we see in the future.
Just real quick, Dan, before you move on, there's a comment in the chat, right, saying, "What are you guys gonna?" As in, I'm assuming they're talking to me, Northside, Dan, Kenny. You know, the ones that are a bit more skeptical about this, right? But they've put, "What are you guys gonna actually do if we win it?" Well, let me tell you, I'm gonna celebrate, right? Whether you guys like it or not, I'm gonna celebrate because I'm an Arsenal fan. But you've also got to realise, Arsenal fans, that if we do win it, yeah, it doesn't stop there. Yeah, it's not a case of, oh, well, we've done it now. It doesn't matter. We can afford to not win the league for another 15 years. No, there is so much work still to be done, regardless of who the manager is next season, right? Don't want Gabriel Jesus at this Arsenal team anymore. Yeah, bin him in the summer. You can't be getting outscored by Eddie Nketiah, who's played, 500 minutes less than you. Kai Havertz in his first season, everybody ripping into him before he joined, outscoring him. Yeah, I don't care what people think Jesus offers us. As a number 9, he's not good enough. Bin him in the summer. Bin Zinchenko as well, yeah? Because them two guys in particular haven't stepped up in the big moments for us. I think Thomas Partey will move on. And I'm going to say another controversial one, and I know Kenny agrees with me. Move Martinelli on as well. Yeah, because Martinelli is exactly...
No, sorry. I had to unmute myself, Brandon. No, that is way too far.
Martinelli is exactly the same player.
No. Sorry, Brandon. I had to unmute myself. I can't even believe that I'm hearing this from you. I mean, it's just... Listen. By the way, you know how much I love Martinelli. And by the way, what you said about Trossard, I absolutely agree with you. I think, hands down, Trossard moving forward should play the rest of the games this season. But I think Martinelli's just in a bad spell. You know, pre-season, we go into, we sign another striker, and it's a new season. We start from scratch. I'm not saying he had a great season. I'm not saying he's not making bad decisions, not making.
Do you know what it is? Do you know what it is? Let me explain, and you might change your mind. You might not. Probably not. Right?
Nah, I actually do agree with African Guna though. I like Martinelli, and I think he's had a bad year. And I will let you explain, Brandon, because Kenny's the same. I really like him, and I honestly believe this left-hand side has not done him any favors at all, chopping and changing. But that's just me.
Well, my explanation for getting rid of him would be, number one, we'd get a decent fee for him, no doubt. Yeah, so that could be invested elsewhere in the squad, right? But I look at Martinelli, he's still the same player that he was when he burst on the scene at Arsenal. He still relies heavily on his pace. He still runs with his head down. Yeah, he needs space to be able to be effective in this team. And let's be honest, Arsenal ain't going to get space and time anymore. Arsenal are a well-respected team in this league now. Teams know that if we open up against Arsenal, they will destroy us. So a lot of teams play, this low block kind of system, try and hit us on the counter, that type of way, keep things tight. I've seen it all season. Yeah, Martinelli, when he comes up against a low block, he struggles because he's another player who, a bit like Saka, right? The only difference with Saka is I think Saka's got a bit more about him, a bit more technical ability, a bit more strength. He can cut inside and he can have that shot. Martinelli is a one-trick pony to me. Very good on his day, very good. Yeah, and if we can get him in the right situations, he can hurt teams. But I just fear now that Arsenal have become a team that's going to have to find a way of beating a low block. And Martinelli isn't that player. Yeah, Martinelli's good if you're hitting on the counter-attack. But we're not doing that no more. Yeah, we're not. It's very rare that Arsenal would have to hit on the counter-attack. And I just think you got Trossard there, right? He's come up with 10 league goals. In a bit part kind of role in this team. Give him more game time and go and find another player who can play on the left hand side, who's a bit more technical, Yeah, not necessarily pacey, but technical, who can be effective when breaking down a low block. I just don't think Martinelli is ever going to be that guy. He's still the same as what he was when he first joined. You know, that's how I look at it.
Interesting,
Crazy.
man. Like for me, I actually disagree with Brandon. I agree with a lot of what you say, but for me, I like Martinelli, and I know he's had a bad year, but I'm not willing to give up on him just yet. Personally, I'm willing to see what he's like with another number 9. I'm willing to see what he's like with a left 8, and I think we need a left back, which I believe will probably be Timber, if we believe that everything we read, unless we think Timber's going to come in and be what he was bought for, which wasn't a left back, to be honest. But we'll see. Kenny, let me come to you, bro. You waited patiently. We've got to talk about Kai, and we've got to talk about Thomas Partey, because Thomas Partey, you and I have had a lot of agreements on in terms of how good and important he is. But my God, that was a performance, and it was like, I remember what we were like when we had Partey. I was watching it, you're at the game with me, and I was thinking, yeah, this guy, we needed him fit big time. We really do. And Kai Havertz in the second half, I've got to say, a wonderful ball from Odegaard, a great first time finish from him, and then obviously the second goal he took really well, and I was really happy that he celebrated it, man. I've got to say. So, talk to me on these two, bro.
Well, firstly, it was never in doubt. I actually took great offence and took umbrage with a lot of people who claim to be like speak for the fan base. You know, who were just basically a bunch of self-important prats who are coming out with garbage about Declan Rice's an upgrade and Thomas Partey. How dare they? How dare they? How dare they? You think about last season when we challenged the title. When we were at our best, it was a midfield involving Thomas Partey, Granit Xhaka, and Martin Odegaard. Martin Odegaard himself will be the first person to say, thank God I got this guy back with me. You look how advanced Martin Odegaard played last season because he had Thomas around him. You look at the way Xhaka turned into a number 8 because he had Thomas. The only thing that counted against Thomas, he was doing 2 or 3 people's jobs. And that's, you know, especially when we didn't have the ball. But you look at it now, look at Declan Rice yesterday. Look at how advanced he was playing. And look how he got into like danger areas, pressing high up in the pitch, getting into goal scoring positions. Why? Thomas Partey. That's how good Thomas Partey is as a footballer. You know, his weight of pass is perfect. The way, you know, he finds his man. There were times yesterday when he was getting Bukayo Saka in the game. That's a Saka that, like it's been hit and miss, but the numbers have still been, good enough, competent enough. But Bukayo Saka found that, lease of life, having his big minder alongside him. So for me, on footballing ability, Thomas Partey is our best player, but we don't get to see that because of the fact that we've gone in a different direction. Jorginho's been playing a lot more games. I see Jorginho as a horse of courses player. I really do. Who probably has played a lot more games than we imagined because of Thomas Partey's injuries. But yeah, definitely big. In terms of Kai Havertz, the thing with Kai Havertz is that if we analyse the game accurately, there were instances in that first half when he was doing a lot of people's heads in. Where he wasn't, his first touch wasn't the best. When he was getting into advanced positions, he was forsaking the shot and chose to pass to another player. But second half, complete turnaround. His first goal was absolutely beautiful play. Obviously, Martin Odegaard's going to get the applause, but the way his first touch to get away from the defender and then hitting the roof next, beautiful play. And the second goal was just, confidence from before. And I look at Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz has got a lot of footballing ability. He's been touted as this naturally gifted player and this next big thing for a long, long time. When he was at Leverkusen, when he was at Germany, and obviously at Chelsea, he's had this massive tag. And, he scored 11 goals in his first season. I think is it the most goals he scored in the Premiership? He's got 5 assists. He's been shutting around positions. There are times where you look at Kai and you think, you know what, good player, but sometimes I look at, African Gunners Martinelli, and I think, is Kai in a team, like hurting Martinelli? Is Kai in a team hurting Jesus? Because when Martinelli plays his best football, when he's got a concentrated, Zinchenko and a Jesus, who Zinchenko for his passes through the needle from deep in an inverted role, and Jesus who creates all sorts of how do I say it, rabble, confusion, chaos, and then Martinelli gets in those positions where he's in where he's at. Last season, he was a very good finisher, but with shoehorning Kai in the team, that's caused a lot of problems in terms of like certain players and now having to fit in, and it's had an impact on their games, and also it's injuries as well. But that's what happens when you pay £65 million for a player. You're going to shoehorn in the team at all costs. Either you're going to put him in the midfield because you think, right, he can make runs from deep in that 8 role, or you have to play him up top. But for me, Kai's best football is when he's up top. But there's a problem. We want a striker. We were saying we want this big striker. Now they got this 6'4" lanky German who's now playing his better football up top. So that's another conundrum.
Still need one though, Kenny.
Oh yeah, we definitely 100% need a striker. But when I look at Kai Havertz, regardless of where he plays next season I'm expecting more now. I'm expecting levels. I'm expecting, more goals, during the league, and also, more assists. But because next season,
can we trust the football club to go and get us a striker though? Because
we
know Arsenal, right? They'll look on this, or Mikel Arteta in particular might look on this and go, Kai Havertz, 11 goals.
No, I think Mikel Arteta is now the territory you want us to go into. I see what you're alluding to in terms of making sacrifices to the play. We now have to be that club that's like Man City and like Liverpool trying to be until their defence, like I said, caved in today. We want to be a team that, like competes on all 4 fronts. We don't just want to be a team that play in the league channel. We wanted to be able to say, right, we finally got a squad that can compete, for the league, the FA Cup, the League Cup, and the Champions League as well. And that's what we've got to aspire to. And that's why when I talk about squad, I don't want numbers, I want quality. Man City have got that, and that's where the next, if there is a process, which I don't think there is, but the next capital rank has to be a better squad, which means sacrifice have to be made. And if it means selling sellable assets, because this is the problem we got. You're talking about get rid of Elneny. How much are you going to get for him? Sweet FA.
Nothing.
Get rid of Cedric. Get rid of all these players you think about. But now if you get rid of Smith Rowe, now you're talking, because young player, big resale value, you can get a big bit of money for him. But then your board are going to go to you and say, we can't do this and that because of FFP. So we've got to sell another player. And the player that I think that can get us big money is Martinelli.
Ramsdale.
But are we prepared to do that? Are we prepared to do it? Because you've got to think about a bigger situation. The left-hand side needs strengthening. You're now talking about your striker. You clearly want genuine cover for your 2 centre-halves in case they get injured, because they're quality, but what if they get injured? Who's the next capital rank? Is he good enough to maintain those standards? So you've got to look at that. In the midfield, maybe, you might need another body. So to compete over 4 fronts, you want to have 2 players for every position. But money's got to be an issue. FFP's got an issue. So sacrifices have to be made. Aaron Ramsdale's a given. Whoever wants him, take him. He's England international. He's the next capital rank. Eddie Nketiah, if people say he's worth 30 million, come on, Palace. Get an upgrade on the
That's never happening.
You know what I mean? So that's what we do.
I just wanted to add 2 points. I guess the first one was to Brandon. I think Kenny, he was referring to, he asked the question, can we trust the club to do that? My response to you, Brandon, is, a couple of years ago, you and I both know it wasn't going to happen. It's not going to happen. But what I'll say to you now is that this past summer, we had that same question about Declan Rice. And look, the club knew who we wanted, and we went and we paid the money. So I'll just say, I'm not saying that we're going to do it this summer, but I'll just say, look, they just did it this past summer. So I'm going to give them good faith and say, hey, you know what? They know we need the striker. I mean, I think the whole world knows that we need the striker. Andrew spoke about it a few months ago, when he was interviewed before a match, talking about how Arsenal have already determined their targets. They've already started doing negotiations and planning it out, the whole shebang. You know how it goes. So that's the first thing. And the second thing was, Kenny Ken, I promise you Martinelli is not going anywhere. I honestly think he's probably between 60 to 70 million pounds right now if we were to sell in the summer. But I think, in any case, I don't see him leaving Arsenal for the next 2 seasons. And the worst case scenario is he gets demoted to a squad rotation player if we get like a Rafael Leao or Jesus needs to play, or what Trossard is in good form, whatever the case is. That's what I see as for Martinelli.
I agree on that. I agree on that because, I think that the idea was put in my head last season when January 2023, he was aggressively trying to buy Mudryk. Let's be honest. If we paid Mudryk the money in terms of wages, Mudryk would have been an Arsenal player rather than a Chelsea player. So that speaks volumes to how he must have rated Martinelli and how the same theories that Brandon's come up with in terms of like hasn't developed as a player, still got the head down, still raw. All right, Mudryk hasn't worked out at Chelsea, but the seed was there. So
is it that you were trying to get another left winger or any winger that can play on either side?
No. It's not that. It's the fact that the Mudryk thing was the first time I thought, hang on here, what's the manager doing here? Is he happy with this kind of player? Because let's face it, if we got Mudryk for £80 million, going by what we've seen with Kai, that Martinelli will have to drop down. Because look what happened with Kai. We're at £65 million, what we paid for him. We always seem to find a place for him, either in the midfield or up top. We don't seem to. We benched him occasionally this season, but for a long time, even before Christmas, he was a fixture in the team. He was 100%.
Yeah, you know why, Kenny? I think it's because we don't actually have anyone established there. So I think it's a little bit of a nuance. Martinelli's established, so it's a way different conversation. Whereas, when you shoehorn Kai Havertz in midfield,
he was established.
Right? Like he wasn't fit.
Yeah, but he was established until we have got a bit of, since he's come back. He hasn't from injury, he hasn't been at his best, and then you've got the situation with Trossard. I think the thing with Trossard, the points that you guys made about Trossard, if Trossard had pace, real pace, the type of pace of Martinelli, I don't think we would be talking about Martinelli in those kind of how to say it, romantic terms, because I think that's where he has the edge on Leonardo, is that his pace. But
that's fact. That's fact.
When you get to a certain level, you've got to have a bit more than that. And I think,
guys, let's also not forget,
we need more from Martinelli in that.
Yeah, guys, when Martinelli is Trossard's age, he's going to be better than Trossard. I'm just putting it out there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not taking anything away from Trossard, but he has like 4 years on Martinelli, and he has that experience and everything. Look, it's just, they're both great players. I'm just saying, like, in terms of development and growth, I hear both of what you're saying, but I still think that, like, Martinelli's still young. He's still like 22 years old.
I don't think he's going to go anywhere, man. And if we were to go and get Rafael Leao, who I do rate, by the way, I don't see him as a massive upgrade, though, on Martinelli, if I'm honest with you. Let's come to Northside after this super chat. Big up to James, man. And massive thank you, bro. Says we fight with all our might for the boys in the royal blue jerseys. Well done to Everton, man. I hope Errol takes a giant helping of humble pie after chatting crap about Everton and Dyche forever. Take the league now, Arsenal brothers. Thank you so much, man. Listen, I hope that we will. Liverpool look like we're going to get ahead of them, but it's Man City that are the problem. So let's see what happens there next. Northside, let's come to you, brother. I've been waiting patiently. Got to move to this weekend's game at the North London Derby. Now, the reason I'm confident, bruv, this time is not because we've just battered a terrible Chelsea side. That midfield trio, I think, can boss Tottenham. I really do feel that way. I think Bissouma, people are saying they're not too sure about him of late. Sarr's dropped off a bit. Bentancur's not really been able to get consistent performances this season at Spurs. James Maddison has gone off the boil, although I do think he's a top player. And really, up top, other than Son, they've got guys that fluff their lines. Werner, Richarlison, Brennan Johnson. So I've got confidence. They've got their left back out, Udogie, who's probably been one of their better players. Ben Davies, I believe, is probably going to play there unless they do something different and put Emerson over there or something like that. For me, I think this has to be a win, but I think we will get the job done. It's going to be tough, but what's your thoughts going into this one, brother?
I agree with you. And I agree with everything you just said. And on top of that, they play a style of football that actually suits us. You're playing the high line. You want to play a high line against Arsenal? A lot of times we put teams to bed, to be fair. That's not the type of game plan that a lot of times leaves Arteta scratching his head. Bissouma is in poor form. I think we should target Porro. I think Porro's their Zinchenko. He's good going forward, but he's always got a mistake in him defensively, especially with Romero alongside him. We should be asking questions of Romero and Porro, and trust me, we're gonna get some luck because Romero is rash and Porro is a poor defender. So targeting them on the right hand side, I think we can have some luck. But we just got to put them to the sword, man. I think this game is about mentality. It's not even about quality. We always see North London derby. It's about the team that turns up, and we should be turning up with the good momentum, the good performance that we had against Chelsea. And I agree with you. They haven't replaced Harry Kane. And when you look at Werner, a lot of times he runs down the wing and tries to cut it in, tries to look for Son. He's not really the guy that tries to look for goal. Johnson, as soon as they bought Johnson, I said, that guy's a bum. He ain't worth £50 million that they signed. He's rubbish, bro. He's a B-Tech Theo Walcott. That's what I look at. You know what I mean? He's nowhere near the level of Theo Walcott. And people don't put Theo Walcott as this massive legend. Yeah, but that's what he is to me, bro. I don't think he's all that. I think Johnson, I think he's poor, bro. I think he's really poor. Maddison looks like he's in a bit of bad form. And Son ain't a striker. So, yeah, man. We can definitely get at them. But it depends who turns up. But I think we should play the way that we play against City. Give them this false sense of security. Let them play the high line. Let them try and make the pitch smaller. And as soon as we get the ball, release it to Trossard, release it to Martinelli, release it to Saka, hit them on the counter. And that's it. Or we can play the way that Newcastle played. Deep long balls over the top. Because Newcastle didn't play them off the park. Just every time they got the ball, one ball over the top, that's it. Straight through on goal. And we've got Thomas Partey that can do that. We've got Jorginho that can do that. We've got players that can do that. You know, we've got Odegaard that can play little triangles, but we've got players that can dictate the game from deep. So I think that for me, that would be the game plan. Get Thomas Partey spraying those balls to the front three and be a bit resolute. Because I know this Tottenham, they're not incredible. They're not an incredible team, but they'll try and have a go. They'll definitely commit men forward. And I think we should just reel them into a false sense of security and then just hit them with those long balls, bro. And I think we win the game. But it's all about nerves right now. This game, not only is it North London derby, it's now Liverpool's drop points. It's about mentality. And this is where I question this club. And this is why I still have big questions about Arsenal winning the league, because of the mentality. It's every time it's a must-win game, this club lets us down. Must win, we had to win against Aston Villa, didn't win it. Must win against Bayern Munich, didn't win it. Every time it's the crunch end of the season, don't get over the line. It's mentality now. It's mentality. You know, it's not so much about quality. Of course, I want more quality. I want a striker. I want somebody that can rotate with Saka. But it's quality. We do have enough to get over the line. But are we going to hold our nerves? And also this manager as well. Because I don't want to see none of this crap about bringing Zinchenko back into the team and doing nonsense like that. Or taking players that are in form, like Trossard, which he's done earlier in the season. He's in form and then you bench him. It's not only on the players. This manager gets it wrong sometimes and he tinkers too much with the team. We've seen
dropping Havertz into midfield, for example.
Exactly, bro. You know, that's the manager. You know what I mean? When he did that against Bayern Munich, that was nerves, bro. That was nerves. Because why else would you do that? Bayern Munich, a team that their manager's gone. He already knows he's packing his bags at the end of the season. A Bayern Munich team that they've been dropping stinkers. That the manager mentally bottled it. And then the players bottled it. So the manager also has to hold his nerves. And the players are a reflection of the manager. If you know what you're doing and you're managing them and you're calm and collected, that it will reflect on your team lineup and the squad. So, yeah, man, just stick to the same lineup and just bide our chances. I don't want us going gun-ho because I don't take Tottenham for no mugs, because I've seen seasons where Arsenal talent-wise are levels a bit above Tottenham and we still lost the North London derby. So,
just quickly, Northside, because I know you don't have long, bruv, tonight. Do you see Man City dropping points, real talk? And if so, where?
I don't see them dropping points.
No, me neither, man.
Do you know what it was? Yeah, if they still had the Champions League, I maybe see it a little bit. But now, after getting eliminated out of the Champions League, I see they're so focused. Now they're just gunning for the league, bro. And at the end of the day, let's be real, we're going off history.
I'm gonna do a Robbie Lyle now. Believe.
A lot of Arsenal fans about belief. A lot of Arsenal fans keep saying about pressure's on Man City. When have they not been able to hold pressure?
Yeah, that's my problem. That's my problem, bro. People keep saying to me, "Oh, but it will." I walked out of Villa and I kind of said, "Job done," because I just know what this City team are like. If we were going up against Liverpool, right, and City were 12 points behind us, I wouldn't be saying that. I'd have been going out going, "Look, we can't have any more slip-ups, but I have faith that we'll be okay because I know that Liverpool drop more points." I have no faith that Manchester City will drop points, and that's why this North London derby is massive, and every game is massive. It ain't just this. You know, people say, "Oh, North London derby is going to be the big one." So is Old Trafford. So is Bournemouth at home. So is Everton at home. Every single one of them. You know, Everton now winning tonight, actually, if it does come to the last game of the season, won't be fighting as hard because they'll be safe now. So it's a good thing that they've won tonight, right? In two ways. So, yeah, I don't know. I can see Man City dropping. And I'll put it this way, Northside, right? I've got more. If I had money to put on, I would put money on Arsenal to drop points over Man City still. I would. And I hate saying that because it feels wrong of me. It's pessimistic. I get it. I just got to be real, bro. And I don't know if that's a mad statement to this panel or to the chat, but if I had money, I would put it on Arsenal to drop more than Man City because I've seen what this City side do and I've seen what this Arsenal side do, man. So I hope I'm wrong.
To be honest with you, I think City will drop points. Yeah. People look at their fixtures.
Where are they going to drop points?
People look at their fixtures and think, "Oh no, they ain't going to drop points." They've still got to go Craven Cottage, right? Craven Cottage, for example, they've Fulham at home against the big teams. They've done all right. They've got Brighton tomorrow as well. That's not an easy game. I know we made it look easy, but it's not easy. Yeah, it's not an easy game to go Brighton away. So there are still fixtures.
Haaland injured as well, apparently.
Haaland's injured. Yeah, De Bruyne has not been the same since he come back from his injury. You know, I just look at City and I do think that team that they've got are capable of dropping points in this run. But I'm also a bit like you, Dan. I don't trust Arsenal to pick up all the points in the remainder of their games. You know, Spurs away is not going to be easy. Man United away is not going to be easy. Bournemouth are playing some silky football right now. That ain't going to be easy. So I look at our fixtures. I look at City's. I do think they'll drop points. I just think we'll drop more, to be honest with you.
You know the thing is, right, is that, you know, as much as the thing with the North London derby is that you look at Everton's response to getting smashed by Chelsea. You know, they've beaten on the Forest, controversial, but the real game that they earmarked was Liverpool. What a turnaround! And I look at Spurs. You know, they've had 2 weeks rest. They've, they were absolutely embarrassing against Newcastle. You know, to have two of your fullbacks to invert and do it continuously and playing that pressing high line, and then anyone that Newcastle just played a diagonal ball. I think Spurs can be a lot better then. Plus, you've got the 62,000 fans. You know, Spurs are. You know, they've had an okay season. Plus, they still got that incentive for the top 4. You know, they're going to have to do it the hard way because they're 2 games in hand against Chelsea away. Although after what you saw yesterday, who knows? And then you've got the Man City game. You know, where they have a good record against Man City. So, you know, as confident as I am in the players, I think Spurs are going to be a lot better than we probably give them credit for, and we're going to have to be at it because, you know, it's Operation Stop Arsenal, but most importantly as well, you know, every player has to be on it, and I don't mean like putting tackles in, getting themselves sent off, but realising the danger, realising the tempo as well, being able to cope with the tempo. It's going to be a hard tempo because, you know, it was only a week ago that we were talking about our players being on their last legs. And then Chelsea game, we feel a bit invigorated. You know, we've got to show now that this performance against Chelsea was because we're back to our best, not because Chelsea were just Colts players whose heads went down after 2-0. Yes, we were celebrating the fact that, you know, we had the triumvirate. Now, today's a new day. Sunday's a new day. Let's see how we do against Tottenham. That's where we can win this league.
Do you know something? I might be shooting myself in the foot here completely. I'm not actually that worried about Spurs. I'm genuinely not. Most of their players are in poor form. They've had 15 days off. People think that's a good thing. I don't think that's a good thing at all.
Oh, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. It's not.
We've got momentum right now.
I know momentum, but we weren't saying that a few days ago, were we? A week ago.
No. Even so,
Dan, you mentioned this thing. You talk about tiredness. So I say take one game at a time. Chelsea's fantastic. Now Tottenham's a whole different ball game. They've got better players than Chelsea. They've got a better manager, and we're going to the cauldron. And the incentive, they're going to say the right things like, we still got the top four, we still got games in hand. We want to finish our season on a high, and we're not. It's nothing to do, with other factors. Don't believe that. And
I think the thing is, Kenny, I think both teams have got just as much incentive. Tottenham are going to want to stop us winning the league. And we've got two incentives in this one. We've got the incentive.
1 second, Brandon. Big up Northside. I know you got to shoot, bro. Absolute love for coming on, man, as always. And we'll catch you real soon, bro.
Northside, speak soon, man.
Big up, man.
Northside's exhausted because he did another emergency meeting. Apparently, we only have emergency meetings when we lose. I mean, I've been in two.
You've been having 3 now and you win. What's going on?
I don't know. I was on the emergency meeting after Bayern for about 4 hours, and I was on the emergency meeting after Wolves for another 4 hours, and that was celebrating a win. So hey,
big up,
Northside's exhausted.
I'm telling you.
Big up, man. Go show some love, man. Go show some love to Northside LDN, man. Legend, man.
Big up,
love, man. Take care, bro. Big up
man.
also to Cam as well for being our newest member. If you do want to join and be a member, like, subscribe, and join. Make sure, I think we should be at 18K now, people. We should be. If we're not, make sure that we get there. All you got to do is hit like and subscribe. It's absolutely free. And make sure you're following all the Mandem as well. Sorry, Brandon.
Yeah, no, I think we've got two incentives in this. Spurs have got the incentive of they're going to want to stop us winning the league. We've got the incentive of not only do we want to win the league and we need to win the game to win the league, we can stop them getting Champions League as well. If they lose to us, that's pretty much their Champions League done.
Definitely, yeah. Well, definitely. Yeah, it's going to be a fantastic game. It's going to be a great occasion. It's going to be a passionate occasion. And, but at the end of the day, we don't want a situation where we get our heads go. We get too emotionally invested. Got to remember that we've got a league title to go for. We've got to make sure we want to keep our best players, for the next remaining games. Acknowledge the fact that it's a big, big, big derby. But, I know you guys are, got your particular teams. My team's just keep it as it is. Keep it as it is.
Yeah. That, for the rest of the season.
Or an injury, keep it as it is. Yeah, you know what I mean? But,
I want Partey, Rice, Odegaard for the rest of the season.
Oh, definitely. Look, you look at the situation. Spurs are going to go physical. They're not going to play Bentancur and Maddison together. They're going to go physical. They're going to play either Maddison or Bentancur, and they're going to definitely play Sarr and Basuma, who are going to get stuck in blah blah. And so it's going to be physical, and that's why we are going to need Declan. We are going to need Thomas, but Declan's going to need some help in there if they do play the Sarr and Basuma, and Maddison. He might have a bit of a free role, but he works as well. So we're going to play against a team, the Spurs side, that are going to press us. Play the handball because they always press from the front. That's why they have to play that high line. So now it's going to be their Achilles heel, and it could work for them because handball's about inverting, pressing high line. So Dogier is going to be a big miss, but Poro's another one where if both Davies and Poro invert, Trossard, Saka, man, get ready, mate. Get ready for that diagonal ball because it's going over there, mate. You're going to have a lot of space.
I'm feeling a 3-0, to be honest. I think we're just way too strong. Our midfield with Partey in there now, I think, is just absolute control. You can see Declan Rice yesterday. I mean, the amount of freedom he had to go up. I mean, he almost scored a screamer. I mean, the techers on this guy is ridiculous. I mean, what he did there, that was an attacking midfielder. That was a striker move. I mean, and he almost put it top bins as well. So, with Partey there, it's just so much more secure. I'm quite confident. I think, as Brandon said, I'm not really worried about Spurs. I'm more worried about the other games where we might, draw. We might struggle to score. That's my fear. My fear is that we might we might just get clogged again and come against a low block, and then we just can't like create. And because that's what kind of happened against Aston Villa, against Bayern as well. We had this crazy 5-0, 5-0, 6-0, and then no goals, and then back to 5-0. So I think that's still a problem in the team, and I just hope that doesn't show up in any of the last few games. But really confident. I think something else that's on my mind is that guys, we should have started Partey against Bayern. Like, why did we wait so long to play him? Obviously, the way he played yesterday, you said he looks like completely fit, and I agree. By the way, I think he looked completely fit. That's probably the fittest I've seen him in a long time. And I know he played a little bit of minutes. A few weeks ago, but it wasn't anything substantial. And he's been on the bench. It's like Smith Rowe last season. In the last 2-3 months of the season, he recovered from injury, but Arteta never used him, and it was like, well, what's going on here? It's the same exact thing. Partey isn't being used apart from yesterday, and I think we would have had a much better chance because I think Bayern Munich completely dominated the midfield. Jorginho got run over because he doesn't have the legs. It was so obvious. So yeah, it would have been interesting to see if Partey played, if that made a difference. I think it would have made a big difference.
I thought when he come on against Wolves, African Gunner, he was unreal, and I think Rice was just superb. Like after he came on, and then as soon as we saw it, that trio, I'm like, do you know what? That is what I need to see now going forward, and go on, mate.
And we've been asking for it for a long time, right? On this podcast, we've been talking about it for a long time. But you know what really stuck out to me, guys? We have 2 ball-winning midfielders. As soon as Chelsea ever had the ball for like 3 seconds, they try to make one pass, and Partey nicks. It's the nicking, it's the intercepting, right? Because we never get on the back foot. As soon as we lose the ball, within like 15, 20 seconds, we win it back immediately, and then we go straight on the front foot. Chelsea's back on the back foot, and all they can do is clear it to Saliba and Gabriel. And as I said it many times before on this podcast, we would just recycle, and then we go again and again and again until we knock your door down, right? And honestly, guys, 5-0, it should have been 8 or 9. It should have been 8 or 9. And Havertz played really well last night, but his finishing and his instinctiveness is still not there, guys. Look, I play striker. There's a position where Ben White passes it to him. He turns these 1-on-1. If you're a striker or attacking player, your first thought is, I'm going to turn and just shoot. That's your first.
Not quite though.
He got the ball and he's like looking for a pass, and I'm like pulling my hair out. Like, are you kidding me? Like, turn around and shoot. So look, he's playing well, and we've talked about it, but there's still a lot of improvements. If he was way more clinical, we would have easily won that 8-9-0.
Yeah, listen, it should have been more. 100% it should have, man. Listen, we got to come to a close. We got to end it there. To close the show, let's go for a prediction. Don't like doing this too early on, but we'll go with it. I'm gonna go for a closer game than people believe, but I'm gonna go for a 2-1 Arsenal win. I think we'll get the job done. I think Spurs will score with Son, but I do think we'll win. So I'm gonna go for a 2-1. Kenny?
1-0 Arsenal. 1-0 to the Arsenal.
I love that. Just win. I don't care what the score is. Just win. That's all I'm saying.
We got the goal difference cushion, so
We say that, but I promise you, we don't want a 1-0 going into the 90th minute.
We don't want it. But, it's a North Side derby. It's really close.
I want a comfortable game. By the way, we've won every single game. I think it's 15 out of 15 games that we've gone into halftime leading this season. So, as long as we score and we lead 1-0 in the first half, I think we easily close this out. I'm going for 3-0.
Hey, it doesn't matter when we score. It could be one of Kai Havertz's 95-minute winners, mate. I'm taking it.
Hey, as long as we win, I don't care. 1-0 to the Arsenal, do me just fine. African Gunner, did you say 3-0? Did you say?
Yeah, 3-0. 3-0. I'm going for the 3-0.
Confident, man. Optimistic. I love it. What are you saying, Brandon?
I'm stuck between 2 scores. I think I'm going to go with you, Dan. I think it'll be a closer game than what people think. But I just 3-1. I'm looking at 3-1. I'm thinking, I reckon 3-1.
Love it. Listen, I hope that African Gunner is right and it's 3-0 and comfortable. That's what I hope. Repeat the Chelsea game and I'll be happy. Let me tell you that now. Listen, guys, absolute pleasure having you on. Make sure you do me your favorite, people. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure that you like the video. It's so important. Those 2 things are absolutely free. And it helps us get towards 18K and then our next K, which is 20K. I think we should be at 18K tonight. So come on, people. Make sure you're part of the community. Make sure you go follow Kenny Care. Make sure you follow African Gunner. Make sure you follow Brandon at True Gunners TV, who's now putting out content as well. So please make sure you do that. Click on the link in the pinned description for Surfshark VPN. All you need to do is click and it will take you there for you to get it. So sort yourself out that VPN and we will see you next time. Take it easy and, of course, up the Arsenal. Laters, people.